here's Brody Brazil.
Initially, I was considering posing this entire video as a question, as in, like, have we reached the extinction of the dominant starting pitcher across Major League Baseball? But I actually think it's less of a question at this point. It's more of a statement. We have, in my opinion, reached this end of an era where you don't see a lot of Roger Clemenses and Dave Stewarts and Randy Johnsons and Justin Verlander for not much longer in Major League Baseball. It's the passing of a torch. It's the end of an era where the starting pitcher just isn't what it used to be in this game and across this league. Is it a bad thing? Yeah, I think so. Is it a different thing? Absolutely. More reliance on the bullpen, a lot less expectations on what a team starter should do. And I'm going to actually start here with a myth, because I was once saying this maybe 2 years ago, even 6 months ago, how they just don't make starters like they used to. And oftentimes I'm hanging out with Dave Stewart in our NBC Sports studios, and I would talk to him about the amount of complete games he would throw. Even before a season would start, in spring training, he would throw 1 or 2 complete games in spring. In this day and age, no manager would allow that because they want their other pitchers to get work. They want their bullpen to get some work on a day-to-day basis in Arizona and Florida. But I digress. So I would say, well, they don't make starters like they used to. But the reality is they absolutely do. Starters in this day and age, I think, are made better. They have more resources, they have more stats and information, they have more science behind this, they take care of their bodies, I think, a lot better as professional athletes. So to say that the starting pitcher as a human being and what they're capable of, I do think they're made just as big as that old generation, maybe better, but they're not doing the job even with all those tools. And the truth is also this. So from a myth to a truth, like, baseball hasn't largely changed in other areas. There's still dominant hitters, there's dominant closers, like relief pitchers, and there's dominant infielders and outfielders and catchers with their gloves. There's dominant defensive players in this game. So all that stuff has stayed consistent, but the starting pitcher and their importance to a team and what they provide and their expectations, it's totally different from when I grew up watching baseball in the 80s and 90s. And here's one piece of proof. Like, there's a number of different ways we could go with this. We could start with this. If you want to get into the evidence, and if you don't believe me, hopefully you do by this point, but just look at how many pitchers across Major League Baseball got to 200-plus innings in a given season. Obviously, here we're not talking about middle relievers or closers. We're talking about starting pitchers who chew up 5, 6, 7-plus innings per start. Look at how things have changed. From 85 to 89, 257 pitchers over those seasons in Major League Baseball reached the 200-inning mark. Then it dips a little bit, 90 to 94, sub 200, but then 95 to 99, back above 200. Same thing from 2000 to 2004, 204, 05 to 09. So we're not that long ago, less than 20 years ago, only a little bit more than 15 years ago, 201. So we're still sitting at that 200-inning mark for about 200 pitchers every 4 years or so. 2010 to 14. And then all of a sudden there's so many Tommy John injuries and surgeries, the procedure that's required of it, we start to see that. We also start to see velocities go up. 10 to 14, 185. So we're down below 200 pitchers with 200 innings, but not by a lot. Then look what it does 2015 to 2019. 85. That's like a third of what it used to be in 85 to 89. And then from 2021 to 2023, which I realize is not the full amount of years, 16. Look at that trend right there. And yeah, I mean, if you're a good starting pitcher and you're effective, you stay in games. You go long in games. So this is a measure of success. Throughout the wins and losses, if you're doing well, you're still in the game and you're going a long time and you're beating the opponent. If you're struggling that day, you're out of the game early. Just look, so when I say they don't make them like they used to, what is going on here? Sometimes it's a lot of strategy. Managers on both teams say, well, we're about to see the other teams line up for the third time. I don't want my starter to face them. So, all right, bring in the righty, bring in the lefty, whatever, give the starter a rest. And the starter has only gone, 4 2/3 or whatever it is to get to that point. 5 1/3. And so they don't want their starter being exposed to a lineup. So strategically, they're just going to take them out. Even if they're at 76 pitches, 82 pitches, even if they could go 114, we're going to cut you off early today just because of where we're at in the game and where we're at in their lineup. And the 100 pitch total has become just a huge barrier. I mean, I feel like even as a broadcaster, somebody who has no stake in the game of making decisions and understanding things from the inside looking out, a lot of times you can see a manager and a pitching coach start to make decisions based on the pitch count, but there's something about the 100 number. Like it's a universal number for everybody that once you get close to that, one more batter that gets you to 100, then we're going to yank you. Well, what's the difference really between 100 and 107 or 117? If you're warmed up, you're ready to go, you're in the zone. If you've been conditioned for that, maybe that's what I don't know. Maybe starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, something about the way they've been conditioned is not to get to 101 pitches. But that 100 pitch mark has become a mental barrier more than anything else. And then velocity is emphasized way more than getting outs. How many strikeouts did this guy have? What's the velo like today? And the fastball across baseball has definitely jumped up 4 or 5 miles an hour within the last decade alone, the average fastball velo. So you're asking more of pitchers. I said they're not going as long, but you're also asking more of them. It's not, hey, how many outs did you get? How many ground balls, double plays did you roll? It's usually, what's the velo like? How much swing and miss did you have in today's game? And so that also brings me to an interesting conversation piece here. As I grew up watching baseball in the 80s and 90s, there was Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine and John Smoltz and Pedro Martinez and The Rocket and Stu and The Big Unit and Oral Hershiser and David Cohn and Doc Gooden. Who are the comps for any of those pitchers? And by the way, like I could have made that list twice as long. I could have put 3 times as many names on your screen right now. I just kind of chose those as the very first ones that popped up. But tell me, in the last decade, all right, Scherzer, Cole, Verlander, there's a few, right? But you can't do it. My point is, you can't do it. You can't match the names that used to be there, their dominance, their stats. Like, if these are Hall of Fame caliber players, yes, Dave Stewart, I'm putting you in the Hall of Fame right now, in my Hall of Fame. If you're doing that here, who are the next generation of Hall of Fame starting pitchers? And what are their qualifications going to be? Because as I just showed you, barely any starting pitchers get to 200 innings anymore. And in fact, if you look at Blake Snell, who is one of only, 7 big league pitchers to win the Cy Young in both the American and National League, Blake Snell has precisely 0 complete games thrown in his career. A complete game's not everything, but it just goes to show you the resumes are going to be different. And going back to the velocity, right? So much more is being asked of starters in this day and age. Here are the top 10 fastest MLB four-seamers in 2023. Here's the list of names top to bottom. These are the guys that threw the hardest in terms of a four-seamer last season. And 8 out of these 10 have suffered some kind of injury here in 2024. Some for the entire season, some for just short portions, missing 15 games with a shoulder or an elbow. But like Shohei Ohtani, had the UCL surgery, out for pitching this year. Garrett Cole, out in 2024. I mean, it goes to show you that a lot of the hardest throwers and the biggest exerters, is that a word, are sidelined here in 2024 from even last season of 2023. And then as much as we talk about staying in games, how about just a quality start? The definition, 6 innings, 3 runs or fewer. You realize that if you had a quality start every game, every start, your ERA would be no higher. It could be lower. It would be no higher than 4.50. That's actually not, if you think about it, like when we say quality start, oh, that's a great performance. Quality start is like a 4.5 ERA back in the day and still today. That's not considered exceptional. Like that's very reachable. But how many pitchers in this day and age are even recording quality starts? The averages of the National and American League from 2000 to 2015 were about 1.3 thousand and 1.1 thousand. So let's call it 2.5 thousand quality starts per season every year from 2000 to 2015. It didn't really fluctuate, ups and downs here and there, whatever. Let's call it $2,500 between the two leagues every year for 15 years from 2000 to 2015. Here's where we were at last year. Uh-oh, I got to change this. Hang on a second. Do you see what I did there? I had two national leagues on the bottom. Now it's National and American League. Anyway, fixed it. It just goes to show you that we're sub 1,000 in each league. And if you add it up, we're at basically 1,600, 1,700 instead of almost 2,500 like it used to be. So down several hundred quality starts per season. And largely probably because of the 6-inning thing, but also the 3 runs or fewer. It's just, you're not getting the performances from starting pitchers like you used to. The names aren't even what they used to be. If you think about some teams have a dominant starter, a guy here, a guy there, but then how long do they last? Do they even last a full season anymore? Is their career a 2 or 3 year thing because they blew their arm out? Major League Baseball has reached, honestly, when Verlander's done and when Max Scherzer is done, I think Zach Greinke's done, you've kind of reached the end of the line here in a certain group and a core of starting pitchers that just doesn't exist anymore and may not for the near future. This is all by design. I don't think any of this has happened by accident. It's not been a mistake or unintentional, or we're just finding this out. This is the way baseball executives have planned it and have angled their teams, and this is what teams are going for. So I feel like we have reached the extinction, or we're witnessing it, of the dominant starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. Let me know what you think about my thoughts in the comments section below. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you agree? Are we close? Just let me know down there. I'd appreciate that. Also, thumbs up since you made it here to the end of this video. Down below, that'll greatly help me, this video, and this channel. And if you're just finding me for the first time, that's actually great. I'm glad you did. I want to make sure you come back. The best way to do that is to go down there right now and hit that subscribe button so I can definitely see you back here next time.